Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Magnolia Shine podcast. This is our 7th episode. I'm Trellis Williams alongside the one and only Blake Levine. We had a big week of football last week, and of course, Blake, we got a lot to talk about today. We're excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Normally we would start with high school, but I know what we're starting with.
Oh yeah, we gotta start with this, man. Mississippi State knocking off Arizona State 24-20. They had a 17-0 lead early. Arizona State came back, took a lead late, and then that big touchdown right there at the end gives the Bulldogs the win. Their first win over a ranked non-conference opponent since 1991. And man, they were partying there in Starkville.
Yeah, there's two sides to this, right? There's the positive and then there's the realistic side, right? The positive side of this is, and when I say positive, I don't mean like positive outlook. I mean positive as in they just beat a ranked team at home, a top 12 team. They got to storm the field.
Oh
And
yeah,
on top of that, the environment was finally on par with the rest of the SEC. And I think that's one of the most important parts is that at least the environment, the light show, the music, the cowbells, as loud as I've maybe heard them in, I don't know, 5 years or so. You couldn't even hear
yeah,
the broadcast at home. Those are the positives, right? The positives were they didn't fold after giving up, I guess it would have been 20 unanswered points,
that's right.
right?
Yeah,
Because Mississippi State in the past, they give up 20 unanswered points during a game. You could feel the momentum shift and it would have been over. However, you got to give Blake Shapen credit. You got to give Jeff Lebby credit.
yeah,
Although I didn't think Jeff Lebby had a great second half, the reality is they won the game. He went for it on a 4th and 6, 4th and 7 that was insane.
yeah.
And I thought that they were doing some weird stuff. And the reality is they didn't score a point in the second half till that final touchdown. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. Well, that's all the positive stuff is just how great that is for the city of Starkville and Mississippi State fans, for Jeff Lebby, just to get a win
Yeah.
up there that he could throw up on the board and look at his team and go, yeah, we did that. We did that. We're proud of that. For Blake Shapen, same thing, right? You get to throw it up. Confidence now. Confidence. The realistic side of this is they're going to start 4-0. They're going to beat Alcorn State, and I got to think they're going to beat NIU unless NIU wants to pull off another Notre Dame
Yeah,
type
yeah.
win early this year. Not that Mississippi State is Notre Dame going to the college football championship right
Yeah, yeah.
after, because they ripped off what it was, like 13 straight wins after they lost to Northern Illinois, and then they went to the championship and played
That's
Ohio
right.
State. However, the realistic side of this is when you look at their schedule, the best possible outcome, in my opinion, is still 6-6. They are still looking at a 2-6 conference schedule. My guess. That's my guess. Again, I was wrong about this game, although I was right about every other game. Matt, at the end of the day, I'm 8-2 in my first college picks. This was one of the ones I got wrong, and I just think that at the end of the day, Tennessee, the first game, it'll let you know. It'll let you know everything you need to know about what they're
Yeah.
going to be. They're going to be 4-0, feeling good. Tennessee's already got to play Georgia. Although if Tennessee loses to Georgia, it's almost worse for Mississippi State because then Tennessee's really got to win that game. Not that they're not trying to win
Yeah.
all of them. So there's just a realistic side. 5-7 still in play and missing a bowl. All that stuff is still in play. They just got to win the next game in front of them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That'd be my prediction for Mississippi State would be a 2-6 conference record. But I know that, listen, you get that big win, and I think I said this before because this is if we're being honest, this is really the game that I picked right. Really, other than that, I kind of was wrong. But in, but I did think that Mississippi State would win this game and that they would be overrated after this game. You know what I mean? Now, I will say I looked at the rankings, and Mississippi State did not make the rankings. I was a little bit surprised by that. I thought that they might bolster up. It looks like it hurt Arizona State more than it helped Mississippi State in terms of the national scene. What were you about to say something?
Well, real quick, Charles. Yeah. Arizona State, I think they had the most votes of the non-ranked, so they would have been 26 had there been
Yeah, that's
had the ranking gone out. So yeah, it's
yeah.
kind of funny though. Alabama loses to an unranked team and they put them number 10, and Mississippi State beats Arizona State. They can't even pass Arizona State in the rankings. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, that is very interesting, but I think that is also because there's been a lot of questions about Arizona State this year. They had them at number
Yeah.
12, but it was a number 12 that was based on last year. A lot of questions to it, and now this kind of just dropped them completely from the rankings. Even though I thought it was kind of odd because they lost 24-20 on the road. It seems like the closest to a win you could possibly have is what happened in Starkville on Saturday, if we're being honest. I mean, we're talking about 30 seconds left. That's as close to a win of a loss. So that means that Arizona State they were operating on thin margins. Like if they lost that game at all, they were about to drop.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the reality is when teams win or when they lose, and it's a week to week thing, and us media members want to overreact, underreact, all those types of things.
Yeah.
The reality is Mississippi State blew a 17 point lead. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want people to forget that, and we can take two sides and also play both sides of the fence here, which is great win. A lot of concerning factors as well, which was why did you blow a 17-point lead? Why are your players, giving up 3 points at the end of half because of a roughing the passer? Why are you going for it on fourth
Yeah.
and long in midfield? Like there were some things you can't just gloss over that because you won and we all just okay, we played well the whole game. No. And then also I thought Kenny Dillingham coached a great game until he didn't. It was 4th and 1 in a tie game, and I would have gone for it. I would have gone for it. And I know it's a tie game, and you kick the field goal, and you go up 3, and the idea is okay, we go up. But the worst thing that happens is you don't get it. Mississippi State starts that drive at the 1-yard line, and Mississippi State had not scored in the second half prior to that. Mississippi State was not moving the ball. I would have gone for it. Go put the touchdown on the board, and if you don't get it, you got to go 99 yards to score a touchdown or 60 yards or
Yeah.
whatever, 64, 60, 65 yards to get a field goal attempt that's long. So I didn't understand. I didn't understand some of the coaching decisions. It was a little wild to me. And for such an aggressive coach that Kenny Dillingham is, that was a little weird.
Yeah, I do get what you're saying, but then on the other hand, I mean, we're talking about Mississippi State. The second half, other than that last touchdown play, his really offense was terrible. It was terrible. Like couldn't
Terrible.
get anything going.
Terrible.
And so, but the thing is, though, is that also goes into the decision to kick the field goal because he was betting on that defense not letting them, score. And so I think that also went into that decision how terrible the Mississippi State offense was in the second half. And of course, so
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
I mean, look.
I thought we were gonna, I
I
thought Mississippi State was going to lose when they kicked the field goal. To be fair, like I was at that point, I was
Yeah,
like,
me too.
okay, that's
Me
it
too.
because they're up and we not scoring at all. So
Right. And that's the credit that they deserve is that they didn't lose the game that you and I were sitting there going, that's it. Right? I mean, that's where they get all the credit in the world, which is, okay, 20 unanswered, blue 17-point lead. Arizona State helped us out by not going for it. 3rd and 9, we're backed up. And Arizona State has no safety deep, not even with it. I mean, that was single coverage, and there wasn't another player within 30 yards. Interesting. I don't know, because the first 2 plays they played prevent and they got him, and then they sent a little bit more and played up, and it was like, well, you did so well the first 2 plays. Why'd you? I don't know. But you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not a football coach, right? I mean, that's the reality.
Yeah.
I don't pretend to know more than Kenny Dillingham. I don't pretend to know more than Jeff Lebby. I'm just somebody that sits on the side and went, that was a little weird.
yeah, and so you said that your best case scenario for Mississippi State is for them to go 6-6. What would be your prediction? Because I'm predicting the 6-6, and I think that Mississippi State beats Florida. And I'm trying to think of who the other team is that I do believe that they're going to beat. I looked at the schedule just yesterday, but I think they're going to beat Florida because that's a home game, and Florida does not look too hot.
No, I think they'll lose to Florida. I think the only game they win is Arkansas, and they go 5-7. That's still my prediction.
That's what you think.
Look,
Okay.
I had them right. I had them 4-8 preseason. They win this game that I didn't think they were going to win, but I'm sticking with my thoughts still because again, I felt like they outplayed Arizona State for a quarter and a half in that game. Only a quarter and a half, like of game time. Because the first quarter and a half, they go up 17-0. And then Arizona State from then on outside of the last 30 seconds. Or so. right? So if we talk about game time, I thought they outplayed them for a quarter and a half, and Arizona State outplayed Mississippi State 2.5 quarters. It's just Mississippi State made that extra play in crucial time, and Arizona State kicked the field goal 4th and 1,
Yeah.
and Mississippi State scored a touchdown, and then that was the game. Look, fans go on these roller coasters, and I think it's so funny, right? Because we watched the NFL this week, right? I'm a big
Yeah.
Detroit Lions fan,
Okay.
right? And I have
Ooh.
people telling me Detroit's only going to win 6 games this year. Oh, what happened to Jared Goff? He's not good without Ben Johnson. It's week 1. Catch me in week 4 or 5, and then I'll give you. You know what? Okay, they're sitting there. They're 1-4 or whatever, and the offense does. Okay, cool. Yeah, you know what? You guys were right. But I'm not going to overreact week to week. I'm going to stay with my picks, and then I'll change my opinion if I need to, because I have no problem changing my opinion.
Yeah, no, definitely, and I think another thing that we're gonna have to see with Mississippi State is, of course, their next 2 weeks are against Alcorn and Northern Illinois. So I don't think we're gonna learn much from the next 2 weeks with Mississippi State. But with Arizona State, I think it'll be interesting to see how the rest of their season goes, because last year you had a real close game. Arizona State won, and we saw how the rest of the season went. It went great for Arizona State, and it went terribly for Mississippi State. So we'll have to see where this goes from here. But I do think it's huge for Mississippi State. Now, my question for you, Blake, is would you say that Jeff Lebby is officially off the hot seat? Because he's been on the hot seat, you got to say. It's kind of tough going into your second year on the hot seat, but 2-10 was the worst season Mississippi State's had in a long time, and which was last year. And so now you're 2-0 and you already got a big win, because it's a Power 5 conference team at home. It's a big win for sure. No matter how Arizona State ends up being, it really is still would be considered a good win. Would you say that this takes them off the hot seat?
No. Why would
Okay.
no? They play in the SEC, and if they were to go 0-8 and he starts 0-16 in conference, does that he until he wins a conference football game? I am skeptical of Jeff Lebby. Great win, impressed me. I'm more into Jeff Lebby than I was prior to the game. However, until you win a conference game, I'm not fully in. I'm just not fully in.
Yeah,
I mean,
I hear you.
they play in the SEC. They don't. Arizona State, great win. I'm happy for him, but at the end of the day, he's got to win a conference game first before I go okay. And if the conference game is Tennessee, the first one, I'm like, oh, I'm in. But we got to get there first. So now we have 2 weeks where they play nobody, and they're going to be 4-0, and everyone's going to be excited. And that Tennessee game is going to be so hyped up.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's going to be back in Starkville again, which will be very exciting. And I think the fans will be back out again for that one, so that should be good. But I would say, and I told you last week that I like Jeff Lebby. I think he's a good coach, in my personal opinion. And so, but I'll tell you this: Blake Shapen, I was not sold on him before. I liked how he played. I thought he was well poised. I also like his toughness. I thought he was pretty tough because he took some hits, and for sure. And then that pass at the end, listen, it was a good pass. It was on the money. Like, it hit him right in stride. And I know that was he was open. But man, that dude's fast too. Thompson is.
Yeah, he made the one big throw he had to make, but we spent 2.5 quarters with 0 points. So I'm back and forth on it. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. It's okay to have the take of I want to wait and see. I just want to wait and see. That's my take. I want to wait and see. I want to get to conference football. I feel better about them in conference football, but I just want to wait and see.
Okay, last thing on this subject, and then we're going to move on to high school football and move on to our picks. But I know that you have given the opinion that you think that Mississippi State should be playing Kamario Taylor instead of Blake Shapen this year. Would this game change your mind at all? Do you think Kamario Taylor would have won the game for Mississippi State on Saturday?
Yes. Yes. No. I'm staying with that
Okay.
opinion. I think he's a really good athlete.
True
I
freshman
think
though. That's true freshman, no experience. So that's the thing. That's the difference.
I'm staying with my opinion. Again, nothing has moved the needle other than wow, Starkville's got a way better environment than they've had. It was a really great win, and we'll see when we get to conference football.
And we will see that. So Mississippi State 2-0 on the season. Big win over Arizona State there, and adds some good flavor to some Mississippi college football. So now we're going to move on to our Week 2 high school football games, which Blake and I had our picks, we're going to see who did better this week. We're going to see, okay? And we're going to start off with D'Iberville and Gaucher. Blake picked D'Iberville to win this game. I picked Gaucher. This game was at Gaucher. D'Iberville hammers Gaucher, 42-17 in that ball game. So that gives Blake the tally of 1-0. But D'Iberville gets that win.
Yeah, no, great win for D'Iberville, but obviously Gaucher had to go play up some levels, so it's a tough thing. And Gaucher doesn't have the same roster they had last year. I think D'Iberville maybe just around the same as last year. Just Gaucher's just a little bit pulled back.
And I believe that Gaucher is 5A. That's correct.
Yeah.
So, would you say would that make you question their ability to compete in 5A?
When you say compete, you mean got back to the state title game?
I mean like working through the South, because I how West Point's looking, I doubt, but
yeah, no, because Brookhaven is I think the best team in the South, but it's not. Yeah, and I don't think it's all that close. And, they're going to play Madison this week. And we'll learn a lot about Brookhaven more than I'll learn about Madison. I think Madison's a solid team. But, I'm curious to see how Brookhaven plays when they play off.
That'll be a good one. I'm excited about that one. And we're going to talk about that on Thursday as well, give our picks on that. That'll be exciting. Real good. That's a real good pickup for Brookhaven, by the way, to be able to get a game like that. I know that's big for them. Next game was Hattiesburg and Laurel, which is a big rivalry game there in Laurel. And they battled that one out. Hattiesburg wins 31-18. We both picked Hattiesburg to win that game, so we were both right on that one, making that a 2-1 tally here. Hattiesburg, Hattiesburg was supposed to win this game. That'd have been rough for the Tigers if they would have dropped this one. But I know that this made you think that Laurel's not going to have a good year. Explain that.
Yeah, I just disappointed. But look, here's the thing about Laurel that could totally prove me wrong. A few years back, I think they went 1-4, 1-5 in their first 6 games because they're playing up in 6A and they're playing up and they're playing, and then they end up in the title game. Now they lost to West Point, but they ended up in the title game. So kudos to Ryan Ernest and playing up and playing Hattiesburg, playing West Jones the first 2 weeks. I'm going to pull back on my Laurel's not going to have a good season yet. That's going to be a wait and see.
Yeah, for sure. And you start off with West Jones and Hattiesburg, both bigger programs, and you take losses. And another thing too is that they're not losing by a whole lot either. 31-18 is it's not great or whatever, but you also take on a team that has a lot of talent. Yeah, so we got Oxford and South Panola. This is one that you picked Oxford to win. I picked South Panola to win. Oxford wins 29-13, so they pretty much handle South Panola. And so Oxford is a team that's a wait and see team as well, because they're a 7A team and they're in a tough region. We've discussed on this show how competitive that region is going to be once they actually start playing and trying to find playoff spots there. But it just seems like South Panola is going to probably have a down year this year.
South Panola is going to win some games, but it's going to be a down year, and the dynasty continues to be quiet. When it comes to Oxford, before the season, I would have said Oxford for sure is going to make the playoffs, but the way Germantown and Clinton have looked, wow, those 3 teams for those last 2 spots, someone's going to go home and not make the playoffs, but yet probably be one of the 10 best teams in 7A. Because, you get 16 teams that make it. But I think, one of those teams is going to be a top 10 7A team and not even make the playoffs. Oh, man, that's like the SEC West, the old SEC West right there. Yeah. Oh, man.
Seriously.
That Oxford-Germantown game, that Oxford-Clinton, those are going to be games of the week.
Yeah, those are going to be real good games. And, man, what a tough year for MRA to go back into region play. Goodness gracious. They lost 52-13 to Callaway, so they're looking like this is going to be rough. I mean, they beat, just to be clear, they beat Callaway 27-0 last year. That just shows you how much of a difference it is this year for MRA, but that's a side note. Then we had a big game that we were looking forward to up in the Golden Triangle with Starkville and West Point. And man, the Green Wave just dominated the Yellow Jackets, which was a shocker. That sent shockwaves throughout the state of Mississippi. Not because we're surprised that West Point's so strong, but we felt really good about Starkville as well. And West Point just absolutely took them to the woodshed, 48-15. Now, this was one that I got on you. I picked West Point, and you picked Starkville. So that got me a point over you that time.
Yeah, I'm still in on Starkville. I just think West Point's the next level, right? And it's great because week 5, Tupelo and West Point, and those are now my 1 and 2 teams in the state in my rankings this week. If you want to go check out those on my TikTok. But West Point's one of the 3 best teams in the state. There's no doubt. I can say it with complete confidence. And when they go play Tupelo, it will be a fun game. I think Tupelo will beat them, but West Point is serious because I still think Starkville is arguably the best in their region with the Madison German, right? I think Starkville could still win that region. And that just says what West Point is. And you know, West Point fans like to call Starkville overrated. I go, no, they're not overrated. You're just that good. Take the credit. Take the credit.
I know it. I never get the you beat somebody and then say, man, you're overrated. It's like, how about you just hype up the team that you just smoked? That seems like the best idea.
Right. It diminishes your win when you call them overrated.
Yeah, but man, I am looking forward to seeing. Man, West Point's they've got Noxubee County next week, and then they've got Tupelo, which is something else. Man, listen,
what a schedule. What a schedule.
Man, they don't mess around. They don't mess around at all with their schedule. So that'll be cool to see, and I like that. I like the teams that play good non-region games. So now we're talking about Brandon and Madison Central, which was a headline game for the week. For Brandon, it was a bounce-back game from that Tupelo first week loss that was disappointing for them. Madison Central coming off of a week 1 win that was solid over Pearl, but nothing that was like a shocker or whatever. But it was a solid win. They were 1-0. This game was hosted by Madison Central. Brandon gets the win, even though they were down 7-0 at halftime. Brandon's able to outscore him 17-0 in the second half and take that win. And you picked Brandon, and I picked Madison Central, so I was wrong on that one. You were right.
So I kept Brandon in my top 5, obviously, this week, and I was proud. I was proud of Brandon to win that second half and come back. And Madison, they competed, but their offense is a little limited again. However, I'm not so sure Brandon's the best team in the South anymore. I don't know with what Ocean Springs did to Petal, and I picked Petal. I think Ocean Springs all of a sudden could be the best team in the South 7A. They could be because that's what I gathered from that game. I didn't gather much from the Brandon Madison side of things. I gathered, Ocean Springs got to be licking their chops.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, it is to be seen. And I know for Coach Lance Pogue, he was happy to get him a win as the Brandon coach, because that'd be a nightmare to start off coaching a team that's always good and lose your first 2 games. But the way Brandon plays their non-region schedule, it's set up to where all you have to do is play not quite to the top level, and you're losing games. I mean, you start off with Tupelo, then go to Madison Central, and then next week you're playing Clinton, who's a really good team.
You know who started 0-2 at Brandon?
Did Sam Williams start 0-2 at Brandon? Oh, did he? Oh, wow.
Yeah. He lost week 1, and then he went and lost to Madison the next week, and then they didn't lose another game for the rest of the season or something like that. Maybe they lost to Oak Grove in the regular season and then beat him in the playoffs, something like that. And they ended up in the title game against Madison, and then they lost 21-14. So technically, I guess you can start 0-2.
Yeah, you can. And then if you think about last year, and we're going to talk about Ocean Springs in a second, but last year they started off like 0-5 or 1-4 or one of the two, and then they went on a big run, losing in the semifinals to Brandon. But all these teams that play the really tough non-region play, you can't read too much into their non-region play because what they're doing is getting their team right for later in the season, especially if they're able to stay healthy through it.
You're always better if you play the tougher competition early. You're always better for it. As long as you don't get hurt playing the games, you're better for it.
For sure. Then we go to Poplarville and Stone, and this was a good one. And we picked two different teams. You picked Poplarville, I picked Stone, and Poplarville won 22-21. What a good game, though. But Poplarville able to get the win there.
Yeah, that was big for Poplarville because after week one, where they lose to West Harrison, and they were losing in this game, and I'm going, oh boy, this is going to be an 0-2 start, and they haven't even really left South Mississippi yet. And I was like, oh boy,
Yeah.
this is scary. This is bad. I think they have arguably one of the best running back duos in the state. Like, what is going on? They got a high level recruit on the defensive line. I'm like, whoa, okay, what's going on here? They got a good coach. How is this happening? Well, Stone, on the other hand, might just be better than we thought. But that was a massive win for Poplarville just to calm everything down here because Columbia looks serious in 4A, and the South is not going to be as easy as it was this past season.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, listen, 5A is going to be probably one of the most exciting. Well, you say that until it gets to the title game. They're playing West Point. I mean, goodness gracious, it's hard to even imagine them losing in 5A. But I guess we shall see. But I'm sure the South will be very, very entertaining at least. So then we're talking about Petal and Ocean Springs. You were talking about that a little earlier about how impressive Ocean Springs was. You picked Petal to win that game. I picked Ocean Springs. Ocean Springs wins 27-17. Of course, we're talking a lot of good about Ocean Springs, which we should be, but I also think that for Petal, I don't think this is a terrible loss because you're on the road. You lose by 10, not that much. Of course, you want to figure out how to win these big ball games if you're wanting to really compete. But this is a competitive Petal team as well.
Yeah. Petal's going to be really good by the end of the season. Marcus Boyles did this with Meridian where he got him into the playoffs where it was not looking great early, and all of a sudden by the end of the season you're like, oh, okay, they're pretty good. I think Petal's going to be a lot better by the end of the season. However, at the same time, like I just said earlier in this podcast, Ocean Springs, watch out. That might be a team that, could maybe make a 7A title game, and I don't know. I'm super impressed. I'm sold. I'm in. I'm sticking my chips in for Ocean Springs.
Yeah, I think it'll be. Yeah, I think that'll be interesting. See how that goes. We got Terry and Canton, which is another game that we picked. We both picked Terry to win. Terry handled Canton 33-13, and obviously I was on the call for that game, and I was impressed because Terry was without their star running back. And the thing is, there's a lot of talk around Terry after that first week that, man, they just go, their offense is one guy, one running back, Well, he couldn't play the next week, so they had to use their other options, and it really did work out for them on offense there. But the question about Terry is really going to come up when they go play that really tough competition, the tougher competition that's in their region. However, their region is not looking quite as strong as in the past 2 years.
Yeah. Terry definitely has a chance here to do something special, but again, they're in a wait and see moment here because Murrah, not good. Can now 1-1 struggled with 2A Velma Jackson, who then I believe turned around and lost. So I don't know where both those teams are going to end up, the Can and the Murrah. So I just don't know if Terry has played anyone of significance where I can say they are this or they are that. Like you said, it's going to be the district time when I really learn about Terry. But you can't be upset, 2-0, and you know what? You can only win the games that are on your schedule.
And that's for sure. And I think it'll be very interesting when they actually start to play against some of the teams in their region. And really, it's going to be West Jones and Hattiesburg. And those have been two teams that have been in the title games in these last 2 years. And Hattiesburg ended up losing. West Jones ended up winning the championship that year. So it's really going to be about that, how you can finish in your region. And really, you want to avoid Picayune as long as you can. And if you're able to do that, if you're able to come out a number 1 seed, you could possibly find yourself against Picayune in a South State Championship game if you're able to host until that point.
Yeah, and I'll have to go look to see which region, if they're both ones, who gets to host this year. I'll have to go look because, there's a possibility it could be at Terry, it could be at Picayune, right? It depends, if it's the odd or the even regions that get to host, if it's 1-1 this year.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know how that worked. Okay. So, and I guess that's the way that they have to do it. You have to alternate it because you can't do it off of anything else. So
Yeah, that's all. That's only if it's a 1-1. Obviously, if it's a 1-3, the one gets to host.
yeah, it's been 1-1 the last few years for sure. In that with being Picayune and West Picayune and West Jones the year before, and Picayune and Hattiesburg last year. And so,
you know what? I think it was at Picayune last year, because the year before I think it was at West
it
Jones.
was it was it was at West Jones. So
So
yeah,
I guess so yeah. So I guess if Terry was the one, it would be at their place.
yeah. So see, that's huge, man. That's huge. So this is a year where if you're able to go get that one seed, you're at home throughout the playoffs until the championship game. If you're able to continue to win, that's a great opportunity. And this is probably in the years that I have done Terry games, this is their best opportunity to get that done with the team that they have, and then the competition that's in the region. Just from my viewpoint, but we'll have to see.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at Noxubee County and Kipper County. So Noxubee handled them 36-12. We both picked Noxubee to win that game. So Blake, what do you think about that? Noxubee looks pretty good.
Not much. Just Knoxville's just really good. They're the best 3A team, and that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, they look pretty good.
But what do you want me to say? I mean, they're the best 3A team. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, and then a game that was this is gonna spark a conversation that we plan on having. MRA and Hartfield, and this was a big litmus test game for both teams, but especially for MRA because they were able to take it to Jefferson Davis County pretty good, and so that was a question like, is that more MRA or is that more Jefferson Davis County? And I think from week 2 we see that it's both.
Yeah,
and but MRA really handed it to Hartfield on the road.
yeah, absolutely. When we say both, I mean JDC then turns around and loses to Summerall. So, well. JDC might just be in a rough spot this year. MRA, they ran, I think, for almost 300 yards. They can throw the ball over the field. I said this, they might have arguably the best passing offense in the whole state, public or private. MRA, yeah. I'm going to tell you because I'm going to make this video a little bit later. They're the best private school right now, even over JA. I'm putting MRA at the number 1 spot. That's the best team in the private school. That's just my opinion. They'll play the game. That's a great part. They'll probably end up playing twice, really. And I just think the Patriots are just so well put together. Defense is a little sketchy from time to time, but they're just so serious. MRA is one of the best teams in the state.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would have MRA at the top of the MAIS right now. However, I do think that Jackson Academy's biggest strength will be their defense. And so I think that MRA, listen, if MRA is able to put up those kind of numbers on JA, then I think this thing's wrapped up in their favor. Because if they're able to score like that on JA's defense, that's going to be impressive. But man, that offense looks really good though. If anybody would be able to get that done, it'd be MRA.
Yeah, and you know what? They have great coaching. They have a great staff. I mean, they're confident. Their kids are always well prepared. And I know Jackson Academy love their coach as well. It's just that the MRA is going to be prepared for that game. And it may be one of those years where, and it's been like this recently, where, a team beats one in the regular season and loses in the playoffs. It could be a situation where JA wins in the regular season, then loses in the playoffs, or MRA wins in the regular season, loses in the playoffs. Because I think JA is still working through, they got a lot of new kids on their team. So they're still going to be working through that. But MRA has taken the challenge early with the tough schedule. Now, of course, they're going to play Hartfield at some point, but they got to play them early. And they played the Ravenwood. They played the JDC early. And JA has played 2 private schools, Leak and I think Oak Forest. So not bad teams, but MRA is playing a tougher schedule early.
So how did that? I didn't see this. How did the Jackson Academy and Leak Academy game end? Like, what was the score of that? Do you remember, like, just ballpark?
Yeah, I think it was like about 3-4 touchdowns.
Okay. So, because I know Leak Academy, they're not at that size of like a JA or whatever, so they're a little low.
But really good football
really
program.
Good.
Yeah, but really good.
Really good program. So, okay, so that wraps up our week 2 picks, the 10 games, and that finishes off with myself at 6-4 on my picks, and Blake, you were at 8-2. So you had a pretty good week there.
That's better than the ones I picked. That's better than the ones I picked on TikTok. I went like 4-6 in the ones that I picked for TikTok.
Yeah, you pick some probably some tougher ones probably at that point. You pick
No,
some ones
not
that
necessarily. Just slightly different. It just happened that way. So what am I? 16-4, or am I 15-5? What am I the first 2 weeks?
uh
Do you
I
know?
so you went 6-4 the first week and five, and I went 5-5, and so you did better this
Oh,
week. So you ended up 14-6, and whereas with
14
me,
and
I'm like,
6.
yeah, I'm 11-9. So
Ooh, you
yeah,
got you got a long way to go.
yeah, I got a long way to go. So we'll have to see. Um, I tend to be a little bit I get carried away with my upset picks sometimes. Speaking of that, if we pivot back to a little bit of college, talk a little bit about Ole Miss and Kentucky. Man, listen, for a while there, my pick didn't look too crazy. Kentucky started off hopping on Ole Miss. Um, and then, but that was because of those turnovers. Ole Miss was, just the two interceptions early, and then Ole Miss stormed back. I mean, you got to say, Ole Miss just looked like the better team in the game. But Ole Miss finished out with a 30-23 win. It was a tough win for them, but listen, when you're playing in the SEC, you got to be very happy with a road win.
Remember what I said about Mississippi State? There's the positive and the real. The positive is they just won a road game in the SEC and they're 2-0 and they just beat a team that they lost to last year. Right? You can't take that away. Anytime you win a football game in college football and you played another Power Four team, you played another team in your conference, just like Mississippi State
Yeah,
played, a ranked team, you're happy with a win because nothing's guaranteed, and you had to go play the 60 minutes, you had to prepare, you had to play, you had to execute, and it wasn't perfect for Ole Miss. The real side is Austin Simmons has now thrown 4 interceptions in 2 weeks.
yeah,
The real is I don't know if Kentucky's that great. I mean, I know people are telling me how good their defense is, and it's a tough road environment. Whatever. They should have covered that game, and I know they were up 10, and Kentucky kicked that field goal, ruined my bet too. I don't know why they kicked that field goal late. Um, but again, we go back to the positive, which is Lacey's an unbelievable running back. They finally got a real. I mean, the running game's a little bit better this year. The offensive line's still a little sketchy to me. Better, but it's just still not there yet. There's some give and take, and now Ole Miss plays Arkansas at home at night, and I'm sure every Ole Miss fan is scared to death because of the past between Arkansas and Ole Miss, and these games always being just a little funky towards the end.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
did I learn that much? No. Should they be happy? Absolutely.
yeah, for sure. Listen, you're 1-0 in conference now, so that's a big thing. Talk about Southern Miss and Jackson State. That's another one of my picks that was wrong, but it didn't seem as crazy as it seemed at first. Because Jackson State competed through that first half. I'll tell you who I felt bad for, though, was that backup quarterback for Jackson State. He comes in for one play, and he throws an interception that just ruins that drive. I mean, listen, I I felt like they were about to tie that game right there before the first half came to an end. You might disagree, and we don't know what would have happened. But doggone it, man. That is a tough interception to get right there. And I really felt like that crushed Jackson State's momentum.
Yeah, I think that Jackson State is the best team in the SWAC. They're going to win their conference and they're going to win the Celebration Bowl again. I think
I
that
think
team
so
is
too. They look
absolutely a
good.
top tier FCS program, but they played up against an FBS program
Yep.
and they lost the game. There's nothing to be ashamed about. I thought there was no scenario where Jackson State was going to win that game. I would say 1 out of 100, and I guess it could have been the 1 out of 100 this past weekend. I took the 99 side of that, where Southern Miss was going to win 99 out of 100. By the way, just like let's say Southern Miss, Mississippi State. Southern Miss wins that game 5 out of 100. I'll take the 95. Mississippi State was going to win that game against Southern Miss. And, I guess now looking, Southern Miss has, lost to Mississippi State where they competed for a half. But, every game's early close. I mean, games tend to be closer at halftime than, if they're competitive enough. But that's why they play 60 minutes and not 30. So there's two sides to this coin, which is Southern Miss is still not there yet. The idea that 70 transfers were going to come in and they were going to win the conference because Charles Huff was here and they brought in all these new guys. I don't think Southern Miss has enough to win the conference by any means. Their goal should be 6-6. When it comes to Jackson State, that was really impressive. Obviously, you're upset you lost the game. But back-to-back years, they against ULM, who went 6-6. They competed. They were tied at halftime. This year, they were competitive for a half with Southern Miss. Jackson State is 30 minutes good with FBS teams that are non-Power 4 at the moment. They're good enough to play halves. They're not good enough to beat them at the moment, but they're good enough to play a half.
Yeah, and that's impressive, and that's a good place to be. That's a good place to be. Because, man, if you're able to win the SWAC and then you're able to win the Celebration Bowl. See, the thing that I don't like, though, and this might be a unpopular opinion. I don't know if it is. It shouldn't be, I don't think. I don't get why they don't compete in the FCS championships and actually play in the playoff.
Yeah, I can explain that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can explain that. Okay. Well, first off, I would love to see them in the playoff. And matter of fact, if there's a second SWAC team that's really good, they do go to the playoff. The reason that they don't is you have to pay your way for the road games, I believe, in the first couple rounds.
I see.
So
okay.
you lose money by playing in the FCS playoffs if you're not going to go to the Final Four championship where they start getting paid, their way. In the Celebration Bowl, they get paid to play. So the school makes money in the Celebration Bowl, and they lose money in the FCS playoff. You can see why they do what they do.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a money issue. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know what it was.
And it's not one of those issues where it's like, oh, they make less. No, they lose money.
They lose money. Okay, I got you. Because I always wondered that, especially with these,
unless they have a home game, in the FC, right, in the FCS playoffs. But a SWAC team, I don't think has hosted if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Just comment. I don't think SWAC teams have been hosting at all recently. So you're paying for your team to go on the road and paying for the band to go on. Right? It's a lot of money.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Yeah, and that's so tough because, man, these Jackson State teams seem like, of course, once you get to the North Dakota States and those kind of schools that are real tough. I mean, these are teams that you think about. They played last year's Colorado team to the end, which is so that you're talking about a very good team. Obviously, like they can compete with big time conference teams that go 9-3 until the end of the game. You could argue that was a bad game for Colorado, but still, I mean, so I don't know I think Jackson State would have a tough time with a team like that, but it would be cool to see where they finished out, especially with this higher level of play that they have.
Yeah, absolutely, it'd be fun, but again, they got to win 3 rounds. But I guess before you get there, unless they put them in a ranking where they got to play them in the second or first week, so then that's you're paying your way to North Dakota State.
Yeah. So I'll tell you this though. Moving on to the next in college, man. Alcorn. I actually was impressed that Alcorn competed with Alabama A&M. I see the eye roll, and I saw your grades for each college football team in Mississippi for the week, and you gave them a D. So you were not impressed. But for me, I thought that Alcorn was about to just be bad, and they were competitive against Alabama A&M, which is probably a better team in the conference.
I guess they're 0-2. They lost to a team that hadn't won it in a year and a half, and then they had multiple issues, and then they lost to a team of their level where they had to come back and they were down 14 points early. If you ask the coaches of Alcorn, maybe they'd tell you they thought it was a great game, but my guess is they'd probably tell you they were very disappointed. So, a D for disappointed.
Well, hey, look, they'll get their opportunity next week to rebound from it.
Sure. Sure. Hey, look, your season can change on a dime, but at the moment it's not good. I mean, you can't fool me with it.
No, they're going to Starkville next week, so I don't think they have. I'm kind of kidding about that chance, but anyway.
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, again, they're going to be 0-3, and their goal this weekend is to stay healthy.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a pretty nice check for the college too, I'm sure. When they go to the for sure. But then Valley, that was bad. That's really bad. But, man, it's interesting. You mentioned this about Army last week. They lost to Tarleton State. Well, then they beat Kansas State. What a that's a, man. It makes it reinstills the confidence in our military after a win like that.
Yeah, I feel a little bit better about our military now that they beat Kansas State, and they didn't lose to Tarleton State only and then lost to Kansas State. Valley, I mean, what do you want me to say? Like, what do you want me to say? It is what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. That's
59 to
just
3, right? I mean,
yeah.
it is what
59
it
to 3.
is.
Yeah. That's kind
Yeah,
of rough.
it was ugly.
Okay, that'll bring us to our last segment of the Magnolia Shine podcast. We appreciate you joining us. Please be sure to hit the subscribe button. Haven't mentioned that yet. Hit the like button and share it with anyone who's interested in our coverage that we are doing of high school sports. I also talk about college sports here in Mississippi. This brings us to our top 5. We each have top 5 lists for who are our top 5 teams in Mississippi after week 2 in high school football. And this goes throughout all classifications, right, Blake? So you got, who's your number 5?
Yeah, hold on. I'm trying. Now I just lost it in my head. I'm gonna let you go with 5, and I believe.
Okay.
You know what? No. You know what? I believe I had. You know what? I think it was Grenada. I think I had Grenada number 5, and then I had. Okay, yeah. Yes. I believe I had this right. Okay, I have Grenada at number 5. I went back and forth between them and Madison and Ocean Springs and who should be there, but I think Grenada has won the championship last year. They're playing well early. They smack Winona up, and I think Winona is a little bit better than we think they're going to be. So I have them at number 5.
My number 5 is Picayune. And might be a surprise because you might think that's kind of low because that's my number 1 team in 6A, and they still are. But Picayune, I got them at number 5 right now. Is just really because of these 4 teams ahead of them. I still have them ahead of Picayune right now.
Right, and I have Picayune at number 4. So I mean, like I said, I have the 2 6A teams at 5 and 4. 5 and 4 here. So I have Picayune at number 4.
Number 4 for me is Ocean Springs. And so, listen, I was impressed with Ocean Springs' win over Petal. I thought they'd beat Petal, but I'm impressed with them, and I think they're a top team. I still have them under the teams ahead of them, but I have them as a top team, number 3 team in 7A specifically.
Yeah, and then I come with Brandon at number 3. I think Brandon's still really good. I'm not falling off the bandwagon yet. I think they're going to get better. I got no problems with them. I think when you got a guy like Tyson Robinson, you got home run hitters. They're gonna get there, and I think the defense is good enough.
Yeah, I have at number 3. I have Brandon as well. I think that win over Madison Central is going to help them out as they go through the season. I think that kind of reinvigorates the team, and being able to play without Tyson Robinson and get a win was impressive for them. And I think that's big. So I have them at number 3. I still have them as a top 3 team in the state.
Great. So we have the same top 3, my guess.
I am assuming so. I'm pretty sure we do.
And you have West Point at 2?
I got West Point at number 2, yes.
Yeah, so and then we both got Tupelo at number 1.
Oh,
so
yeah,
there it is. Sure. Hey, we agree. We agree a little bit.
Yeah, we agree. We just had question. So I know you said that so you said you're not sure if Brandon is the best team in the South, but you still have them as your best team in the South for 7A.
Yes, I'm not. It's not one of those things where I'm like, oh, I'm taking Brandon versus everybody else. I would almost take the field at the moment.
Okay. Wow.
Because I think Madison and Ocean Springs, who I just had outside those top 5, are 2 teams that could absolutely. I mean, I think Brandon and Ocean Springs could totally beat them, and then Madison, I think if they played again, could. I mean, I know they're not in the South, but they could. So, yeah, I'm taking them now. I think Oak Grove is done. I think we can take Oak Grove and push them off to the side, and I think Petal is now that team that in their region that's going to have to push them.
Yeah, it's just tough for Oak Grove because they had that game against Starkville. And I got to say, man, I'm starting to question Starkville just a little bit. I think they're a good team, but I think, listen, first-year coach bringing in a new quarterback, and he's impressive. So I'm not taking away from that at all. However, as a team, I don't know, man. I mean, listen, West Point, obviously I have them at number 2, so I'm impressed with them. But man, they got trounced. And the team they beat is Oak Grove, and Oak Grove got beat down by Germantown. That matchup doesn't seem as great as it seemed at the time.
Like you said, it's early, it's week 2, and things start to change. And Clinton beats Brandon, Clinton didn't beat Brandon, but they play him to the wire.
Are we talking win last year?
Last year.
Last year, Clinton beat Brandon, 65-62.
Right, okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Right, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, and yes, listen, Brandon and Clinton will be back this upcoming week, and we're going to talk about we're going to preview the games on Thursday. So please join us again at 11 a.m. on Thursday. This is the Magnolia Shine podcast. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, and share. Blake Levine alongside myself, Trellis Williams. We'll see you on Thursday. We out.